So first of all, you need to know the functions of the integumentary system. So make sure you know all of the functions of the integumentary system. So this will involve body temperature regulation, which is also known as thermoregulation. You have sensory reception. You have protection against infection, so immune protection against pathogens, and protection against just stuff in the environment, so it could be physical trauma. You also have UV protection against UV radiation. And one of the things that we don't really think a whole lot about, but the integumentary system is involved in the synthesis of vitamin D. It is the first step in vitamin D synthesis. So make sure that you know all of the functions of the integumentary system. You also need to know the layers of the skin. So the skin, you have the superficial layer of epidermis, and you need to know what type of tissue the epidermis is made out of. The epidermis is composed of keratinized, stratified, squamous epithelium. And you need to know the layers of the epidermis, and make sure you know them in order. And when you're taking the test, make sure you read the question, because if the question asks you to go list the layers of the epidermis from superficial to deep, we're starting at the stratum corneum, and then we're going to the deepest layer, which is the basal, the stratum basal. So make sure you read that question very carefully. So from superficial to deep, you have the stratum corneum, the stratum lucidum, the stratum granulosum, the stratum spinosum, and the stratum basal. If the question asks you from deepest to most superficial, you would go in the opposite direction. You also should know that the stratum lucidum is only found in thick skin. In addition to being able to list the layers of the epidermis, you also should know about the different cells. So for example, what cells are in which layer. So major cell type for the skin is a keratinocyte. Okay, so most of these cells are keratinocytes. The cells that are in the basal layer, the keratinocytes, are mitotically active, so they are undergoing mitosis. So make sure that you understand that mitotically active keratinocytes are only found in the stratum basal. Okay, and then you also have the melanocytes that are going to produce melanin. You have Merkel cells that are going to be involved, which another name for Merkel cells are tactile cells, so they're involved in touch. In the stratum spinosum, which is not shown on this slide, and I don't know if I have it, I don't have another slide. In the PowerPoint from lecture, there was another slide. In the stratum spinosum, you have the dendritic cells, which are macrophages that help protect against pathogens. And then the stratum corneum is composed of dead keratinocytes. So you need to make sure you know general characteristics for each of the layers of the epidermis. The last thing about the epidermis that you should make sure you understand is that this, remember, it's made out of keratinized, stratified squamous epithelium. This tissue protects underlying tissues. So in addition to the epidermis providing a barrier, it's a tough barrier that protects from the outside environment. It also protects from pathogens. It protects against pathogens getting into the body. So make sure you understand what the functions of the epidermis are. Okay, so now we go to the dermis. So the second layer of the skin is the dermis. So the epidermis is the superficial layer composed of keratinized, stratified squamous. Then we have the dermis. The dermis is composed of two layers. You have this upper layer that is called the papillary layer. And you should know that the papillary layer of the dermis is composed of areolar connective tissue. And then the reticular layer of the dermis is composed of dense irregular connective tissue. So make sure you know what type of tissue, what are the two areas of the dermis, and what are the tissue types in each area. You also should know that the layer that's found underneath the dermis is referred to as the hypodermis, and it is composed of adipose tissue. Also, while we're in the dermis, you do need to know the different structures found in the dermis, so the various glands that are found in the dermis. So you know that the sebaceous glands, they always empty into a hair follicle. Those are the oil glands. And then we have eccrine sweat glands and apocrine sweat glands. Eccrine sweat glands are the most numerous type of sweat gland, and they are important for thermoregulation. They help to cool the body down. And then the apocrine sweat glands are the ones that are found in the axillary and the anogenital regions. Those are the ones that become active at puberty, and they are associated with body odor. So make sure you know those different types of glands. While we're talking about cooling, you should know that one of the functions of the integumentary system is thermoregulation. And so if it's hot outside and if your body is heating up, then that's going to cause sweat to form, and it's also going to cause these capillaries that are found in the dermal papilla. So these are part of what's called the papillary plexus. They will dilate, and that allows heat to escape from the body. So you would have sweat production, and cutaneous vasodilation would occur when it's hot outside and your body temperature increases. So make sure you understand vasodilation occurs when you're hot. Vasoconstriction occurs when you're cold. Okay, but that should make sense. Vasodilation, and you also have sweating, and that's going to be when your body heats up. Then we have skin color. So you should know that skin color is the result of the production of melanin by the melanocytes, which are found in the stratum basale. And if you were in lecture when I talked about this, it's not the number of melanocytes. That's not what determines skin color. All of us have about the same number of melanocytes. What determines skin color, how light you are, how dark you are, what shade of colors you are, then that is determined by the type of melanin that is produced and the quantity of melanin that is produced, and that is determined genetically. So the type of melanin that's produced and the quantity of melanin that is produced, that is what determines your skin color, and it is genetically determined. Now the quantity of melanin may increase upon UV exposure, but again, that's genetically predisposed. So for example, I have very light skin. It doesn't matter how much UV radiation I experience, the melanin production is not going to increase because that's genetically determined. It's a combination of things, but it's the quantity of melanin produced and the type of melanin that's produced that determine the skin color. Okay, I'm going to go back to this image up here that has the different sensory receptors. So we have the Meissner's corpuscles, which are also referred to as tactile corpuscles, and then the Pacinian corpuscles, which are referred to as the lamellated or lamellar corpuscles. The tactile corpuscles are found in the dermal papilla. They're more superficial. The lamellar or the Pacinian corpuscles are deeper in the dermis. So know that the tactile corpuscles that are more superficial, that's going to be responsible for like light touch, detecting light touch, whereas the Pacinian corpuscles are going to be responsible for detecting like vibrations in the skin. So make sure you know the difference between those two. We talked about skin cancer. So know the major risk factor for skin cancer is going to be UV exposure. Again, you may have a genetic predisposition, but it is the amount of UV radiation that you get. So like one sunburn is enough to actually cause mutations that lead to skin cancer. So the major risk factor is going to be exposure to UV radiation. The deadliest type of skin cancer is going to be malignant melanoma. Malignant melanoma affects the melanocytes of the stratum basale. And then the most common type of skin cancer is basal cell carcinoma, which is the least deadliest type of skin cancer. It's very slow growing. So know these questions associated with skin cancer. And then burns. Know the difference between first, second, and third degree burns. First degree burns only affect the first layer of the skin, which is the epidermis. Second degree burns affect the epidermis and the dermis. The second degree burns are what's going to be associated with redness, pain, formation of blisters. And then third degree burns are sometimes referred to as full thickness burns because that affects the epidermis, the dermis, and then it goes down into the hypodermis. Third degree burns have destroyed all of the sensory receptors in the skin, so there is no pain associated. Even though it's a more severe burn, there's no pain associated with third degree burns because the sensory receptors have been destroyed.